Excuse me, Sir Topham. You don't quite seem yourself today. Is everything all right?
Thomas's passenger beamed brightly.
Yes, Thomas, but I'm not Sir Topham Hatt. I'm Sir Lowham Hatt, Sir Topham's brother.
Sir Lowham Hatt, the 19th most popular Thomas character of all time. We've had so many beautiful works of art. None of them are as creative or as memorable as the GOAT, Sir Lowham Hatt. Sir Lowham Hatt might be one of the most creative Thomas characters to ever be created. You just can't top Lowham. Step aside, Avatar. Nothing you do comes close to the genius of Sir Lowham Hatt. What's that? Avatar has more content and episodes than Lowham? Yeah. Okay, buddy, I'd rather take the quality of Sir Lowham Hatt rather than the quantity of episodes Avatar has. Sir Lowham Hatt was sadly overlooked by every single writer of the show, which made me want to make this video. People need to realize that Sir Lowham Hatt is extremely important to the show. Some would say he's even the show's magnum opus. A character so genius, not even the Audreys thought to make him. Their IQs couldn't come close enough to making a character with such talent and memorability as Sir Lowham Hatt. Sir Lowham Hatt seems like a simple character. He is Sir Topham Hatt's twin brother. It's very simple on the surface. He makes his first appearance in Season 13, Episode 4, Double Trouble. To think we wouldn't have him without the brilliant writer Sharon Miller, known for her work on The Great Discovery, Hero of the Rails, and Blue Mountain Mystery, it's tragic to think that without this one episode, we would live in a world without this beautiful character. While Sharon Miller had a ton of misses throughout her writing journey on the show, those movies and Lowham Hatt stand out as some of her best work. For example, Sir Lowham's name. It's a play on words of his brother, Sir Topham Hatt. Sir Topham Hatt has top, but for Lowham, it's low. This clever joke shows that they are exact opposites of each other, and it is a great subtle way to show us, even though they are identical, they are still two different people. As most of us know, Double Trouble uses the polar opposite twins trope we often see in media. I would say this is fairly common to see in long-running shows, so having one for thomasandfriends makes perfect sense. Making it of Sir Topham Hatt instead of one of the engines is genuinely so refreshing. I could easily see them doing this with a new engine and doing what Bill and Ben do to Boko in Season 2. But instead, they make us, the audience, confused with Thomas. A trusted authority figure acting weird is a very creative way for the series to change the status quo. It makes everything feel weird, and it's very easy to remember. Especially since Season 13 was very creatively bankrupt, and every episode feels the exact same. I think the Hatt family tree should be grateful for Sir Lowham Hatt. I'm sure Grandfather Hatt is proud of Lowham. Now, some critics of this episode might find it strange for Lowham to never be mentioned prior to this episode, and to that I say, it's obvious Topham is ashamed of Lowham. He loves him, but he just makes things way worse, and Lowham could make Topham come off as unprofessional, especially since they both look the same. But enough of this episode and side tangent. Let's look into Sir Lowham Hatt himself. Sharon Miller established Lowham's character so well in just one episode. We get to see that he is kind, he's carefree, he loves to have fun, and he even has a good relationship with his brother. I love how when he first sees Thomas, who just apologized for being late, instead of saying, "You're on time," lying to him, or getting upset at him, he compliments him. His instinct is to immediately compliment someone to make them feel better. It's amazing to me. He was even kind enough to appear on the Earl's quiz some years later. Lowham is a kind-hearted man who just wants to have fun and live a happy life. He plays with the kids to let them have fun. He switches the points to give the express passengers a new view they have never seen before on the train, and he even asked to have a turn before he changed the points. Very polite. He's such a good man, but like any good person, he is also flawed. While his kindness and carefree attitude is one of the many amazing things about him, he often disassociates from reality, and in doing so, unintentionally harms the people around him. When Thomas stopped at a junction, Sir Lowham gets out and moves some points.
Hello there! May I?
But this moved Gordon off the express line and away from the party where he needed to be. While his intentions were to give the passengers a new view and get to see more of the beautiful island they are on, it ended up doing more harm than good. Even though the signalman should have stopped him, he also looks identical to his twin brother, and he should be aware by now that this is because he shares Topham's likeness. He needs to clarify with others who might get confused about his appearance. Also, since he had Thomas take him to the Whispering Woods, instead of where Thomas needed to take Topham, his selfishness made Topham and Lady Hatt have to take Bertie the bus instead of Thomas. When he sees the station master telling Thomas this, he doesn't step in to apologize or own up to any of his mistakes. In fact, all of his mistakes have to be fixed by Thomas, and not him. The episode has Thomas do all of this work that Lowham was responsible for messing up. Lowham Hatt is not held accountable for any of his actions. He doesn't even get a slap on the wrist, he just admits to what he's doing and nothing happens. He gets to go to the party and have a great time like nothing happened. He didn't even care that Bertie broke down, or that he made Topham frustrated. He was too busy having fun to realize how much he made things worse. He also said party smarty, like he didn't even want to go to the party in the first place, so why did he even attend it? He was invited and he didn't even care enough. He's like, party smarty, Thomas. Like, bro, if he really wanted to go to that party, why did he do all this? Side note, how can Topham deal with Mr. Bubbles when he is constantly losing his deliveries, having his car crash and being stupid, but can't handle his brother, who is problematic? Seriously, Topham, you are fumbling. But hey, at least Lowham Hatt is a good-hearted person. Or is he? YouTube gave me a copyright claim on this part. When we first see Sir Lowham Hatt, he says, Thomas, my good friend, implying that he knows who Thomas is.
I don't have a
Clearly,
copyright
Thomas
claim.
has never met him before, because this whole episode has Thomas confused about why Topham is acting so weird. Also, he says good friend, implying that this isn't the first time he's meeting Thomas, which can only mean that Sir Lowham and Thomas have interacted before, without Thomas knowing. Here's where my theories begin. This line implies that most times Sir Lowham Hatt has acted strange has just been Sir Lowham Hatt without a mustache, which also means Lowham regularly uses his brother's image around the island to get out to his tricks. He could wear anything else besides the suit and that top hat Topham wears. He wants to look just like his brother though. Why would he want to look just like his brother? It's simple. It's to use Topham's image to get whatever he wants. Think about it. Lowham only got to do all this stuff in the episode because everyone thought he was Topham. If they knew, they would have just told him to leave and none of this would have happened. The signalman never gets told that this was Lowham and not Topham at the signal box, by the way. He's still confused on why Topham grew a mustache overnight and why he then just had a turn and dipped. This theory is also carried by Topham's line near the end of the episode.
Oh no, Lowham. Have you been up to your old tricks again?
So Topham has to deal with Lowham on a regular basis, and Lowham Hatt uses Topham's status to do whatever he wants in his own life. He's actively causing more problems for Topham. You know what that sounds like? An antagonist, aka a villain! Want more proof? Sir Lowham Hatt leaves a bunch of children unsupervised and encouraged Edward, an engine who couldn't walk to get them if they needed help, to not hurry the children and to let them play. Sir Lowham Hatt encourages no adult supervision and instead lets others who aren't qualified to look after children look after children. Now you could say this is not Lowham's fault for this in the first place because the kids were already playing with just Edward, but Lowham should have at least been concerned for them, but he didn't, implying he is fine with it. Since all of Lowham's actions in this episode are selfish, it makes me wonder if Lowham is capable of being selfless. He's got himself covered legally by never saying he's Topham Hatt, but he only says that when people call him Topham. So if they never call him Topham, he can do whatever he wants, and Topham won't get the blame. What does it say for us as a society that we voted for this guy to be the 19th most popular Thomas character, to then have him end up be a villain the whole time? We voted for a villain to be in power, to harm other, and all he does is use his power for selfish reasons. These reasons are actively harming people too. I thought we were better as people and as a society. But what if it's not that deep? What? Are you saying that Sir Lowham Hatt isn't evil and that I'm overanalyzing a kid's show episode? Do you take me for a crazy person? I know I'm right. But if we were to pretend that you're right, and let's look at any other reason for why Lowham Hatt isn't evil, okay? Just for you. Never say I didn't do anything for you.
Just then, Sir Topham Hatt's brother stepped down from Annie. Sir Topham Hatt sighed.
Oh no, Lowham. Have you been up to your old tricks again? Absolutely right, Topham.
The ribbon, fuck your feelings. The way she suck my soul, I need some spiritual healing. Grab the ribbon, fuck your feelings. The way she suck my soul, I need some spiritual healing. The ribbon, fuck.
Okay, let's pretend Lowham Hatt doesn't have some master plan. When he says, "Thomas, my good friend," it isn't because of his plan, but it's simply because he has dementia. He forgot so much that he thinks he knows Thomas. Or it could be a parasocial situation where Topham talks about Thomas so much he feels like he knows him. But his questionable sanity is backed by the other questionable actions. When he goes to play with the kids in the woods, ignoring that that's a weird thing already, when he looks for the kids, he looks around this tree, but he just moves his head to look more at the tree. Like, that would help him somehow? Does he need glasses? You are already staring directly at a tree moving slightly to the left. Won't help you see around it! Half the time when Lowham walks, it looks like he's overconfident or doesn't know how to walk, which is like his dementia kicking in for walking. It's clear that Lowham is always happy. He laughs a lot, so it's fair to imply that he's always happy because his dementia won't allow him to remember anything sad. The narrator even says, he played hide and seek for a long time. He was very happy. He could have played for a long time because he forgot who he found. Still doesn't explain why he looks around the trees just to see more of the tree. That's still a mystery to me. I would love to go back to therapy just to ask my therapist what she thinks Sir Lowham Hatt has, but I don't think that would be the best use of her time. Just for some reason I'm unsure of. Let's take a quick break from analyzing Sir Lowham Hatt. Maybe the voice deliveries from the other dubs can help me see a more positive side to Lowham Hatt that just wasn't portrayed in the UK dub. The US dub, I would say, is the best comedic value.
Oh, party smarty, Thomas. We have plenty of time.
The UK Lowham voice allows me to believe that he could be this evil guy.
I won't be a moment, Thomas.
But the US dub is just too goofy to be this evil guy. But that also makes me think he's putting on a character. Maybe this is why I loved his character so much in the first place, is because of the US dub. But I would say by far, the Korean dub is my favorite.
토마스, 내 좋은 친구.
He just sounds perfect. He's the right combination of silly and realistic. Even though I think Sir Lowham Hatt is a villain, I still can't help but love his character. He sadly would only appear in this episode. I searched for more Lowham Hatt, and all he has is the Earl's quiz segment. The Earl says Lowham's name, and we have to remember what he wears, that Topham doesn't.
But this is his brother, Sir Lowham Hatt.
Wow! And this made me think, what would Lowham be like in the Brenner era? Oh yeah, and my friend Reebji gave me this idea too, so credit to him. Sorry that chapter was so short. I legit had no idea what to go off of. Like, how can I say Lowham is a good person when it's clear he's not?
뭐 파티가 별건가, 토마스.
So we've already gone over Sir Lowham Hatt's character in the episode. We've gone over his villain arc. We've gone over reasons why he might not be a villain. Normally for characters, this would be like nothing, but for Lowham, this is quite a lot. But what about the missed potential he had in the Brenner era? In the Brenner era, we get to see Topham on many adventures, but the only one I'll be focusing on is when he gets stranded on an island with Skiff. The island really just ended up being a part of land, surrounded by rocks. He could have just climbed the rocks and gotten back to safety. But this episode shows that Topham is at his lowest. He thinks he's stranded, and we see what happens to him in this situation, this horrible situation. Imagine an episode focused just on Topham and Lowham Hatt's adventure together. Do you think we would see Topham at this similar state of mind? We could see Topham just lose his mind while Lowham causes chaos. I imagine the episode could have Topham talk to Oliver, and he has Oliver bring him and Lowham around the island, wherever Lowham wants for their birthday. The engines could chat about how unusual it is to see Topham and his brother. Some of them might not even know who Lowham is. Thomas could even come in to say that he remembers when he met Lowham. That could even be a side plot, while the main plot has Topham see Lowham slowly mess things up. First Lowham buys balloons, and then he lets them go because he forgot, and Topham looks sad. Then they go to the beach and we see super sexy swimsuit Lowham Hatt. He would fall on Topham's sandcastle, which would make Topham cry. Lowham would look down at his brother and ask, "What's wrong, Topham?" Topham would respond with, "You destroyed my sandcastle, Lowham," while a tear goes down Topham's face. Lowham would sit down next to Topham. "Topham," Lowham says sincerely, "I never meant to knock down your sandcastle." "That's okay, Lowham." "No!" Lowham stands up. "I didn't mean to knock down your sandcastle like this. I wanted to knock it down with an iron shovel I brought." Then he would knock down the small remains of Topham's castle with the iron shovel, and the episode would end with Oliver being overworked, Topham being mentally drained, and going to therapy, and Lowham apologizing to Topham and walking happily away into a bush. Now sadly, the Brenner era is over, but if any future writers want to steal my ideas, please feel welcome to. I imagine the Brenner era would have included him in like a 10-second cameo to use him as gags, like engines being confused or, "Wow, there are two Tophams, how peculiar." Now here's something I would love for Lowham, a Sir Lowham Hatt manga. Hear me out! A manga just about Lowham's adventure with stunning artwork would be the best-selling manga in history. Everybody loves Sir Lowham Hatt, so making him more mainstream would go crazy. Plus, he has endless story potential. Please, Mattel, please make the Lowham Hatt manga. In fact, I offer my services for this manga if needed. I will write the entire thing. He could spend a day with engines for each volume. One day, he's spending it with Thomas. The next, he's spending it with Oliver. It could go endless. It could even be with Bear. We need more of him, after all. This could spawn Sir Lowham Hatt merchandise. Maybe even an entire toy line focused just on Sir Lowham Hatt. We could call it the Year of Lowham. He qualifies for a year of his own. He has a brother who's more popular than him, just like Luigi, and he's a rival, just like Shadow. You can't tell me this is not meant to be. This video has been all about Lowham, and he deserves his own year. But it just hit me. Topham is just as important to Lowham Hatt's lore as Lowham is important to Topham's lore. So, let's talk about what it must have been like for Topham to grow up with Lowham Hatt.
The McRib is more cost-effective as an annual option.
I see.
Due to the rising price of pork products, it's conceivable this year was the last year that the McRib will be sold.
I understand.
Quite some time.
Goodbye.
We are sadly only given crumbs of information of what their relationship is like. We know that Topham does not like Lowham's tricks, and that he enjoyed being at a party with them. We know they're identical twins, and Dowager Hatt is their mother. Sir Topham, sometimes Bertram Hatt, has a complicated relationship for sure. I think the best comparison I can make is that he and Lowham are like Gordon and Scotsman from both the Railway series and TV series. They can become allies on the same page and love being around each other, or rivals who are related and trying to one-up each other. Oh my gosh, Hit Entertainment did care. They gave us the Railway series like Scotsman, but instead of the engine, we just got the man! Growing up with Lowham must have been like an annoying younger sibling to deal with. Lowham probably just got away with a lot. Considering how Topham is the more responsible one, Lowham probably didn't get in much trouble as a kid, and Topham had to take a lot of responsibilities. Now, I'm not at all trying to imply that Topham was parentified or he had tons of childhood trauma, but in terms of a sibling relationship, I could see Topham having to do more. But imagine how Lowham feels. His brother is married and has grandkids, and he is most likely still single and doesn't even have a job. I imagine he must feel pressure to live up to his brother. Wow. Lowham Hatt isn't a villain. He's actually just me for real. Maybe the reason we only see Topham's grandchildren is because of Lowham Hatt. Maybe he caused some sort of rift in the family for only the grandkids to visit Sodor and not the whole family. Do you think it's possible? Lowham probably lives near where they do and is a good uncle to Topham's kids. Being able to see Lowham more often would explain why they're hyped to see Topham all the time, because they usually spend all their time with Lowham. Perhaps Topham's kids have trust issues with him, and Lowham tries to help both sides communicate better. Maybe he's up to his old tricks, but maybe they're just occasional tricks. Maybe one of his tricks ended up making this rift in the first place, and he's just trying to cope by making another trick that will be more goofy than the last. He could be a great man who takes 10 steps back every now and then. Wait, is Lowham a good guy? Considering how we never see Lowham Hatt besides the Earl's quiz, he probably had a talk with Topham at the party. We see he's happy after leaving the coaches, so it had to have happened when Thomas left. They probably had a heart-to-heart conversation, and Lowham Hatt listened to Topham. Sure, he didn't stop dressing like Topham as we see in the Earl's quiz, but we never see him do a trick ever again. Topham never seems bothered by Lowham again, too. So they could have fixed their relationship at this party. They forgave each other, and moved on, and had a great time at that party. I never knew such a simple scene was actually an emotional masterpiece. This brings a tear to my eye. He was a good guy who was at the bottom of his life. When you're at the bottom, it's hard to climb back up. But because of Topham, he helped his brother have a laugh again. Not in others' misfortune, but because he was happy to be on this earth with his brother and family. And I think that's a beautiful way to end this relationship. Even though our time with Lowham was short-lived, I'm glad he will forever be remembered as the 19th most popular Thomas character. And I now believe he deserves all the love he gets, and more. Thank you all for watching this video. This was actually shelved for a year. I wanted it to be an hour, but that didn't end up happening. This video really tested my yapping skills, and I think I went insane making it. I do not think I'm okay anymore. So, yeah, send help, please!